Okay, so fantastic. That should be working really well for you. I think I have to make this public. Hello, everyone, and let me get this set up. If I touch it too fast, it's going to. Let me get the YouTube live. Okay, I'm still here. I'm just making a few fine-tuning adjustments. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm still here. I'm still here. Okay, all right. So sorry to keep you guys waiting. I should run a giveaway, and apologies. Hi, Brian Ray. Let's take a look. Okay, perfect. So yes, you can see me. I can see you. Let's make this a little more perfect, if we can. Sometimes we're just perfect as can be. BKN time. How fantastic. So yeah, this might change things a bit, but it doesn't matter. Uh, I'm going to put up a poll as I'm doing this. Okay, and okay, so we are in the community category, and that is mostly for shows that do sell, maybe, but that's not the purpose of the show. The purpose of the show is really to. Sorry, I have to widen you out so I'm not completely cut off. Okay. Why does it change every time? Because, like, just a slight angling will sometimes get things all out of whack. And the version of me that you see, thank you so much. Okay. Okay, I think it's still good. Yeah, anyway, so hello, Gypsy Girl. Go ahead and enter the giveaway. And if so hold on a second. If you guys can go to the YouTube live and let me know that it is up and running and things are okay with it. I just made a boo-boo and I hope I did not disconnect that connection. So my username is Stay Home to Shop, all one word, common spelling, just the same as you'll see up above. And I want to answer Retail Rebellion. I want to answer questions. Gifty Gypsy, I want to answer questions. I'm expecting both of you to have at least one. And the names are flying in so fast I cannot keep track. So Ruby Rig, welcome in. Retail Rebellion, everybody enter the giveaway, enter the giveaway. And if you will go to the live stream on YouTube, so you just go to YouTube, type in Stay Home to Shop, all one word, common spelling. There should be a live that's showing up, but I can't see it right this second. And I don't want you guys to think that I got sucked into the internet never to appear. Thank you. You like the Whatnot name. And actually, that's one of the things I want to talk to you guys about, because I'm not sure if this is buyers, sellers, a mix, but most of my community shows and most of the advice that I give is more toward sellers. But you're both? Okay, yeah. I think realistically, if you sell on the platform, I think honestly you have to buy on the platform, because otherwise you don't get the experience that customers get. So it's really hard to relate to issues if you're not, kind of in the same zone. And so, okay, so that was your question, Retail Rebellion. And Gifty Gypsy, are you still doing your raid trains? Because I know that you were doing some or one, but I haven't kept up with that. Oh my gosh. Actually, it would be nice if there was like a little update feed that we could just go there if we wanted to see what was happening with our Whatnot friends. Otherwise, we have to like stalk each other down in these shows and like communicate via the public chat and stuff or private messages. But that's a little weird. Okay, Handcraft Love, good for you. I love that name. Are you a seller on Whatnot, or do you just like to shop? And you're allowed to do both. But actually, some buyers could be casual sellers. At the time that I'm saying this, I believe you're allowed to just kind of casually sell. Maybe you'll have 1 or 2 shows a year, or just some fixed priced items. So I think you're allowed to do both, but I didn't get confirmation. And if you guys have shows coming up, this is the perfect time to start shouting them out. Jonathan, Mez, fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to open, well, I've already opened them. Spoiler alert. Everything that I'm doing, I obviously have to pre-check, because the internet is the internet. And once it's on the internet, it's on the internet. So I can't actually open if I am not sure, of what's inside. Has anybody gotten a package where they got something really inappropriate or really unexpected? I would love to know that. And it doesn't even have to be from Whatnot, but I would love to know if you've gotten like an inappropriate item. I think it's more likely where you have sellers packing their own orders that could happen. And so let's take a look. We've got, I got to get serious now. Okay, we're going to have a winner. And Margaritaville, I was thinking about you and your stickers. You should definitely be promoting yourself. You should definitely be selling your book. What is your favorite letter? Because I'm going to cut it out of this book and send it to you. So these are all photos of different things. And you got my sticker today. Okay, so let's compare. What do you think yours is about the same quality, better quality? But I just need your favorite letter. What's your favorite letter? Not as nice as, okay, well, you're going to send me something, I'm sure. So I'll have a point of reference. M or W? Well, you guys can type because it's a very small audience, so we could have a poll. Should we do M or W? You're writing me right now? Oh, fantastic. Yeah, that's the point. It's Whatnot is all about um, okay, M or W, what are we doing? I don't know if this one's let me look for M. Okay, this one's M. This one's M. But the W spans 2 pages. So somebody needs to type M or W and make that hard choice. For Marsha Reedaville, who won our giveaway. And then this is W. This is W. I think it's W. Does that look like W? You want the M? Okay. Perfect. Oh, no, actually, I showed you the wrong photo, but it's the same concept. I was showing you N. I was like, why does the W seem a little off? Okay, let me get some scissors so I don't completely destroy this. And I will cut. I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still here. And I'm still here. Okay, I'm still here. Well, what is better than a pair of scissors is... Don't you love how scissors disappear in our lives? Isn't that fun? Okay, perfect. I'll just use my herb scissors for these. Okay, so we're sending you an M. Okay. And we have somebody who likes comics. I know I'm cutting this off camera. So sorry you're not getting the full experience. I'll tidy up the edge before I send it. Okay. Not too bad, though. So this is for Marsha Reedaville. Congratulations. You'll get that in an envelope. So, all right. And Poppin' Comics, I don't know if you're still with us. Are you with us? Thank you, Marsha Reedaville. So okay, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna go into the controversy. So if anybody has a show to announce or something that is not controversial, nobody told me the YouTube Live is working. So that is, I'm thinking about that. So I will be distracted because it's always nice to have a backup. Always nice. And actually, I have a new video coming out at 45 minutes of this hour. So not even quite half an hour. And it's really good. And I want you guys to be able to see it. And that's why I'm wondering, is the YouTube Live working or is it not working? But there's a video that's ready to go. Okay, so controversy. I found a seller that is offering shipping with FedEx and UPS, not the Postal Service. Has anyone else encountered that scenario? Now, I will mention they're also offering free shipping, but I don't want to spread false rumors or whatever. I just always was told and taught, we use the post office. That's why I have my shipping tutorials, because if we focus on one carrier, it is possible to really simplify it. And one of the comments was that somebody watched like 100 videos. You can always fact check me. And after watching 100 videos, they said that they thought mine was the best. So I took that as a real compliment. And if we are, so my YouTube name is the same. Stay Home to Shop, all one word. And thank you for reminding me to say that. That is something I should get in the habit of. Go to my YouTube channel, Stay Home to Shop, all one word, spelled exactly the way you see it at the top of the screen. So I don't want to give out any incorrect information. However, I don't know. That was just a weird one. And if there is a way to set that up, I mean, I think other sellers might want to look at that potentially, but I don't know how. And yeah, I don't know like what would allow that. Um, so, and we might be lonely for just a second, but that's okay. So yeah, I found a seller on Whatnot that's using UPS and FedEx, not using the postal service, and they are offering free shipping with their items. Thank you, Margaritaville. Thank you for the check on YouTube. Yay! Fantastic. So yeah, 45 past the hour, you're gonna be able to see the newest video, and I start out with a shipping tutorial because the one that I have from last October, it hasn't really changed. However, I know I need to have like fresh, video, so this one starts out right away. And I'm sure at some point I say we only use the post office, but if other sellers are using FedEx and UPS, I mean, we have to like acknowledge that. But I just don't know if anybody else has seen that, or if there's only like one seller that's doing it. And I'm not trying to throw shade on anyone. I'm just a little puzzled. So, yes. So, if you've seen anybody else who's been able to use FedEx and UPS as carriers, not the post office, I would love to know. I did a search on help.whatnot.com before I started this, and I didn't find anything. I really didn't find anything. So that was kind of funny. And I don't want to make assumptions. That's why I'm trying to catch up with the chat. Okay, I think we're okay. Yeah, I think we're okay. I think we're all caught up. So yeah, so selling on Whatnot can be fun. It can be a little bit challenging or different. I would love to hear people's questions and thoughts. Everybody like zoomed in to say hi, and then I don't know, like, well, I also don't know if they know that they can have multiple tabs. They don't have to like leave the show, because then they disappear. But the other thing I realized is I didn't put on my light, so that could have been, whoops, that could have been the problem. Okay, why is it not cooperating? Okay, good. So that should help. Yes, that should definitely help. And let's end the poll. Oh, everybody, no newbies. Interesting. So nobody was a newbie. Huh. I don't know that I've ever had that happen before. But we do giveaways for a reason. And I'm going to go ahead and run another one. So make sure you guys get in on the giveaway. Willow Sky, I want to talk to you. Oh, actually, I said I was going to open packages, and I completely skipped that part because I got really distracted with a seller is using FedEx and UPS, not the post office, and that's the first time I've ever seen that. They're including free shipping with their stuff, but I've never seen a seller be able to use a third, a different carrier other than the U.S. Post Office. So have you run across that? And I'm not trying to like call anybody out or throw shade around. If I was throwing shade, I would actually use the official shade. And make sure you guys enter the giveaway. Do you want to talk about anything? Do you have any questions? Because this is not too big of an audience. So if you have questions, now's a good time to throw them up. And I don't have to mention you by name. Okay, you could be typing, but I'm going to grab the packages and things that I said I was going to open. So here we go. This is kind of a balancing act. So Willow Sky, are you able to access your YouTube short video and promote yourself? Because that's the whole point of it. And if you're not able to do that, I need to get you some kind of a link or something. Okay, so this is what I got. And Willow Sky. Okay, so there was a packing slip with a handwritten note. So when I open packages, the judgment criteria is it clean and professional? So the answer is yes. Does it have a packing slip inside? The answer is yes. The thank you is optional, but it is a standard. Most sellers do it, like the overwhelming number. And then I got this, and I wasn't sure like what that was, but I found the stickers. So I wanted to give you some ideas, and it says, hope these made you smile. Have a great day. Yes, they did. You had to do something because your mail carrier, to bulk it. Was it because it needed like a dimension to bulk the package? Because originally you were, oh, that is something I've never encountered before. Thank you for pointing that out. And these were all giveaways. And I did leave you a 5-star review, and you definitely earned it. So thank you for doing that. You know, with time, what I've discovered with giveaways is, and actually, I think I ordered these in a like one shade darker when I was selling on a platform other than Whatnot, because it just seemed like it was a good size for clothes and small lightweight things. So these poly mailers are definitely handy to have. And they are the lightest weight, so they're not going to put somebody into a different weight class, most likely. But yeah, so so I got your package, and the thing that I want to tell you is, you know, anytime you give something away, I would rather it go back to your brand some way, somehow. And there's a lot of different ways, but you know, I don't want you just sending items that don't have any relation to you, because I know you're selling a lot of clothes, so, and a lot of women's clothes. So if you send me like a clothing piece, I probably myself wouldn't have a lot of need to keep it. Make sure you guys are entering the giveaway and watching the YouTube live, because I will tell you, I have found sometimes one fails, but the other keeps going. And I have a video premiere coming up in just over 15 minutes. The Easter candy is going to put you in a different weight class. Well, good for you. I'm glad you got some. So here's the thing. So yeah, so if you can get stickers that have your Margaritaville has custom stickers. So Willow Sky, you might want to talk to Margaritaville about getting some custom stickers or something else, just again, because it's a business expense and you take your time to do this. So you should get a customer. Yes. The other thing I can do for you, but you'll have to remind me in the messages because I'll forget the chat, is message me that you want the Sticker Mule discount code, because that'll save you $10, and I think you can do a small order without having to pay much out of pocket. So just message me that, and you've already got your logo, so it should be pretty easy, pretty good to go. So yes, anytime a seller gives something away, I want it to promote them and their business, because it's a business expense, but it also helps me remember the sellers that I like to shop with. The only other way is if I recognize the person on camera, and that could change. Like, let's just pretend, I have an eBaby, so I can't put the eBaby on camera, but let's pretend that I had like a visiting 18-year-old foreign exchange student who was going to be taking over while I'm on vacation. So you could see this exact setup with somebody else selling, but it's, and it's the same, but it's different. If you're looking for a person, not a brand. If you're looking for a brand, it's easier to identify. And I did mention some of the most valuable real estate is up here. And I'm just trying to think of how I can reconfigure things, because this backdrop has definitely had its moment. And I don't think it needs to stay. I think it needs to freshen up a little bit. But it works for the types of shows that I do. Okay. I'm going right here, and okay, so if you guys are seasoned sellers or experienced shoppers, I'm going to mention the giveaway is a marketing tool. And I look at it that way. I look at what can I send the customer that's going to leave a lasting impression so that they, will come back and buy more. It's never guaranteed. So, but when I say lasting impression, I mean, I'm seriously telling you that, like, as many times as you can put your brand, which is your username, all over the package, the envelope, the packing slip, the everything, that's going to help, because it takes 7 times for something to stick in our memory banks. And I use this so often on all my YouTube videos, all my shows, all over the place. I know that just naturally I would get 7 impressions, and I still take the time to look at every package that I send out and think, okay, is it making a good impression on the brand? Because everybody, so Whatnot is a small brand, and then the sellers and the buyers don't need to have a brand. I guess you could. So the buyers don't need to have a brand, but the sellers are like little microscopic brands. So we have to do everything within our control to promote ourselves, and the giveaways are a way to do that. Not all platforms allow it. I'm glad that Whatnot allows it. It's one of the features that I like, and so yeah, I just try to get my brand all over whatever. Okay, so let's move on, because I've got Mojo's wife Joni. Oh, this is why everybody's gonna be so jealous, the people who are in the room right now who get to see this. So I'm going to talk to YouTube, because this is going over the internet. You are not going to believe what I got. I got one of the Whatnot pendants. I can't believe I forgot about that. This was packaged professionally, and I'm sure it had a packing slip. Let me pull it out. It definitely had a packing slip. It also had this card, and I'll revisit that. But and then there's some stickers. Let me put these off to the side here. So everybody has been asking, how can you buy these? Well, they're not supposed to be purchased. They're supposed to be giveaways, because Whatnot, for their featured sellers, I'm not sure what they're called exactly, but they have sent out just a very limited quantity. When Whatnot does any swag, it's always in very small numbers. So I got a flag. and nobody else got a flag, but somebody is winning the giveaway, so that's a good thing. And it's not this flag. But yes, I am holding the official Whatnot flag. I also have Whatnot socks that I won, and these were legitimate giveaways. You know, I put my name in. I waited the time. You know, you have to be in the room when it pulls, so I waited up to 5 minutes, and I just won. It just happened, and I think, you know, again, it's like pure luck, but this is something that somebody cannot purchase, um, but we can win. So, and I think once it's been given away, I think at that point we can sell it, but I don't think I need to sell it. Why would I sell that? It's just made out of felt, you know, and if you're promoting your own brand, you can use, here's the thing that I'm seeing though. They didn't use the W. They didn't use like the W figure, which they use kind of this, and I think that's supposed to remind us it's about live selling, but the W doesn't show up here. That is such an interesting choice. The socks are the opposite. The socks are branded on every side. So the socks either have Whatnot's brand or the company that made them on every side, but this only has the name Whatnot. Very interesting. I'm not going to start conspiracy theories if they're going to change their logo or whatever. There are enough conspiracy theories without that. And Willow Sky, congratulations. So yeah, you've got my attention. What other questions might be helpful if you have the answers? And I'll show you the other card. So Mojo's wife Joni, she does her own marketing. She has her own website, The Art of Live Selling, and that's fine. But this one was interesting because it says it's just a Winston Churchill quote. So I don't know if people would frame this or want to keep this. It was strange just because it didn't like promote her. And actually some brands would look really good on photo paper, and I have made that recommendation to some sellers, is to use photo paper and do promotional cards, because you can get those from a lot of online services, including Walgreens and CVS. So you can pick it up within a day, and they'll just print these out 4x6s, any image that you send them. And then these are definitely brand consistent. So the stickers are there. And Barnyard Cards, welcome. So these are the stickers I got from Mojo's wife Joni. And I've won things from her in the past, so she's probably shown up in one of my other videos. But I don't ever go to somebody's show expecting to win. If I win, I win. Willow Sky, you might look for something like this. I don't know if this is closer to your color, but you can definitely ask Mojo's wife Joni where she got it, if that's something you need. And she'd probably reply. I mean, she's a very good source of information, but I'm still trying to solve the puzzle of how a seller is able to use FedEx and UPS. They're offering free shipping, but how are they doing it with Whatnot? Okay. The other thing I have is, I think that was the only thing. I think that was... You're welcome. And thank you. Now, here's the thing I want to mention. This is going to sound so rude because these are free cards. But when somebody puts something like this in the package and it doesn't have any reference to who is giving it to me, I don't really think that it does anything. I mean, it doesn't leave a positive. It's not like turning me off. I'm just thinking like that money could have been used for something else. And so like generic, thank you, supporting my small business, those kind of things, if it doesn't include your brand, and you could put it on the other side, you really could. If you have nice handwriting, you could even write a little miniature note, and somebody might, again, appreciate that, and it might stick out in their memory. I don't remember if I bought this initially as to show something like this, but I bought this, and I'm wondering. And it does have a retail price of $6 pre-inflation, so that's probably about $12 now. Where was it made? Oh yeah, it was made in China, so this is like $12 now. But if you guys want me to run this, I will. We can start it for less, but yeah. I need it at the time, but I don't know why. Yeah, and actually, occasionally I'll keep like unusual packaging material for that reason, like things that I don't normally use. My halo light is actually covered in big bubble wrap because it diffuses the light, and that's why there's not a harsh shadow. But that was something that I got with one of my orders. And I see Dan Kristen, are you on the YouTube live? Because you always want to have a backup, and sometimes it's more convenient. So in addition to trying to solve the whatnot shipping question, I am trying to figure out why my statistics are very off the mark. And I can tell you with YouTube, because Whatnot doesn't give us a lot of information, but I have a feel. So Whatnot is, yeah, they like on YouTube, it's a millennial audience that mostly watches on a large screen like a TV or a computer, not a phone. There are some who use the phone, and then there's also tablets, but that's kind of low no matter what. But it's a very high percentage. And the other thing that's a little different is the gender skew. It's 70% men and 30% women. And in the past, before I was on Whatnot, before I ever made shipping videos, before, it usually was like 60-30, 60% women though. Or 60-40. It was closer to even. So I don't know why that's attracting. I want, obviously, as many people to watch the videos on YouTube as can see them, because I think they're helping others. And the one that is premiering right now is going to start with Whatnot shipping. However, I could be totally wrong about everything I'm saying in that video if there is the ability to ship with FedEx and UPS. I have never encountered that before, but there is a seller I have encountered now, and I just don't know. I don't know how. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know why. I don't. Retail Rebellion, yes, good reason to be on Whatnot. And Kim, okay, so yeah, so we can actually watch the video. I think. I don't know if you can. I don't know that we need to. But yeah, pull up the live stream on YouTube and you can watch the video premiere. And it should premiere in just a couple minutes. Let's do a giveaway too while you guys enjoy our chat. And I would love to know, what is the biggest obstacle people are experiencing with Whatnot? Again, assuming mostly sellers, but it could be buyers. It could be buyers, it could be sellers. What the biggest obstacle is, and I don't have to call your name out. Okay, so anyway, yay! We really are making this live on Whatnot. Yes, well, on YouTube, we really are making it live on YouTube, on Whatnot. So it's so fun, and I use separate devices to do the streaming, and that is why when one crashes or whatever, the other stream usually will keep going. I would love your definition of consistent. I would love your definition of consistent, because everything else in the comment, let me just read it. The seller, or the imaginary person said that the obstacle is them, and it's not being consistent, but they love the platform and community. Right. So what is your definition of consistent? Because I hear that all the time. Every seller gives that advice. And it's one of those scenarios where I don't know if that really is always true. Like, if you have a advantage, such as using multi carriers, you could just do your shows whenever you want. I mean, you would not have to be consistent. You could do one for 30 minutes in the morning, take a few days off, then do a mega 6-hour one, and sell, because you're offering something on a platform that nobody else is getting. So that is possible. And okay, so you've stopped doing shows for the last 4+ weeks. You were doing shows once a week, and it was good, but you had other priorities take over. So that's normal. That happens in life. If you can get on a more quote unquote regular schedule, sometimes your audience will follow. However, here's the thing I noticed, because my audience has changed as I've shifted a little bit. I used to only do crafts, but then I do seller support now. And every other week I host the Ship Show, which is one of Whatnot's most popular seller supports. And that is bringing me in contact with sellers from all different categories. So as that's happened, my buying pool has changed, as well as the people who show up in the shows. And since you're doing some homeschool, you just need to make it happen. Yeah, and Whatnot allows enough variety of format, I think, that's very doable. What do you normally do? Do you normally appear on camera, or is it just pointed toward product? Because if it's pointed toward product, it could be anybody in the room announcing what it is. It doesn't even have to be you. And you appear on camera. Awesome. And I tried that. I actually tried to do a really professional setup with my phone, where I had the product on the reverse side of the camera, and I could just switch the cameras. And as soon as I did, nobody stayed. Everybody started running as soon as I disappeared, and it was the product. And it was still the same show, the same seller, the same everything. But as soon as I showed the product, not me, it just disappeared. And definitely on YouTube, you obviously are watching because you enjoy the way that I explain things and all the other nuances. And you're going to keep watching all of my videos. In fact, I've put together a Whatnot playlist, and it's number 1. It starts with number 1, and Willow Sky is featured on that. Chicago Dawn is featured on that. Willow, if you're still here, let me know. But if you're not, you're not. And okay, so do you want to know how you're doing with your short? Because you can use that video for so many different things. But I do want you to get some customers. Okay, so you are outperforming the one that. And congratulations, Retail Rebellion will get a giveaway. Oh, actually, wait a second. We had a couple giveaways. So we need to pick some favorite letters. Don't let me forget that. Your video is outperforming Chicago Dawn. And they're very similar in a way. And I have a theory why your video is outperforming. Obviously, YouTube and Google have to kind of play favorites because they know everything about everybody. So it's not me deciding. Um, and I think the reason you're getting like 2 times the views, maybe, is because there are words on the screen, and sometimes people watch shorts with the sound off. So I think the words on the screen, but otherwise, I think it was very comparable. I don't know how you feel, if you've seen Chicago Dons or not, but those are on my YouTube channel, and you can watch them anytime. And even if I have to move them or take them down, you can still get a version of them. The easiest way for you to do that is play it, get all the distractions off your screen, and just screen record. And then you'll always have a copy on your phone that you can use for whatever purpose you need. But yeah, you've got a video available. You've got a new brand. You've got a lot of exciting stuff. And we have giveaways. So I think you just won the second giveaway. Willow Sky, I believe, won the second giveaway. So I need a favorite letter, and I'm just verifying in the store. Sold. Retail Rebellion, also, I need a favorite letter. And Avid Liz, I need a favorite letter. If I don't get a favorite, I'll just have to pick a favorite. Okay, so Willow Sky, you're actually going to get a multi-page. So you're actually getting quite a lot. But, you know, this is perfect for Instagram when you get it. So, yeah, okay, so I'm going to cut this out right now. And where did I put the scissors? Where did I put the other one? Oh, this is funny. I'm still here. I'm still here. I am still here. Still here. Okay, well, I will find scissors again. Don't you love that during live shows where you put something but you can't find it? So Willow Sky, you've got the W. And Retail Rebellion, I need your favorite letter. And Avid Liz, I need your favorite letter, or it'll just be a letter. It's like a truism. Retail Rebellion, you want J. Okay. So let's see. Why? Ooh. Yeah, I don't know. Because I had to cut M. And where would I put M? This is not my standard setup, just so you guys know. This is me doing things quite in reverse order. Oh, I found the other one. But I didn't find the scissors. Let me do this. Let me just get a... I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still here. Okay, so yes, the YouTube premiere. Just happy I'm here, still alive. Okay, so I need to pull W. Okay, Willow Sky and J. Retail. Okay. And if Avid Liz ever comes back in, that's fantastic. Otherwise, it's whatever. It's a giveaway. Okay, now that's something I want to mention. That came up in another seller show. What happens if you don't get a giveaway or you're like disappointed? The consensus in the room was get over it. It was free. You didn't pay anything for it, and just leave it alone. And this is a situation where the customer, because technically, even though the customer didn't pay anything for it, I am the seller and you are the buyer in a giveaway transaction. And I believe that is correct, just for mechanical purposes, not giving anything legal advice, not giving legal advice here, but it does obligate the seller to send the item. So totally fine. I don't ever have a problem. Things can get lost, things can get switched or misplaced unintentionally. So the person who was asking never received the item and had messaged the seller, and the seller, I think, gave them the tracking information or something. I'm not sure, but they weren't satisfied and they were wondering what to do next. And the consensus was also, if it's really bothering you that much, contact Whatnot. Don't recontact the seller, because that could be viewed as harassment. It's outside the seller's control once they send it along. So if they've confirmed that they sent it, then that's what they have. That's what they can tell you. But what do you guys think about giveaways? Because I know that is a little controversial. And I know it's also controversial to give away items of low value. Some people do expensive stuff. I don't. So, but your favorite letter is kind of fun. That's priceless. But we'll run another giveaway so you guys can see how it all works. And, there is a potential. I have never received some of my giveaway items, but because I sell on the platform, I know it's not worth wasting my time. I wouldn't even know who didn't send it. Like, I'm not going to go through all my purchase history and start looking. Was that delivered? Was that delivered? Was that delivered? If I didn't pay anything for it, it's a pleasant surprise. Okay, so we do have a comment. Your sticker giveaway didn't show up to a winner and they reported you had no idea they didn't receive it until you got an email from Whatnot. So I had a scenario. Hold on a second. I don't think I got a report. I got a less than 5-star review. I think it was like a 1-star. But I got no messages prior to that or after that. So that is another way that sometimes unhappy customers or buyers will, take a swipe at a seller who they think has not given them their item. This is all a little shady, because you can actually go and look at I don't think there's an easy way you can search that person's comments for like every other seller, but you can kind of peruse what kind of comments they've been leaving other sellers, and sometimes you notice a trend. It's interesting. And if you mailed it, you mailed it. And stickers are going in flat envelopes, I'm assuming. So actually, because we've already had that conversation, like they're going in something like this. Okay, so perfect. However, this is called first class mail. It does not have insurance, and it's trackable, but not really, because it doesn't use the same tracking that we do for packages. So there's like a weird number that'll get generated starting with 3, and it's all about the embedded smart code, which I need to get back to Willow Sky. Not that you need my help. But yes, if you have a video or anything out on the internet that's helping promote you, you should definitely include it everywhere you can. You can print it, well, check with your carrier. They'll probably say no problem. But you could include it on the outside and just put surprise. And if it links to your video, then fantastic. You could do that same concept or same thing on a packing slip. Definitely on a packing slip. it pains me when I get a full piece of paper packing slip and I get nothing like marketing from the seller. I don't expect them to do a whole lot because I'm just one of however many thousand. And if you're selling on Whatnot for more than one or two shows, you're going to have hundreds of customers and then there's going to be thousands. It's just going to happen. Because people love to shop with me. You love to watch my YouTube videos. They love videos. And you'll never stop watching them. So don't think you have to change. But the people on Whatnot love to watch and shop. So yeah, so if you send it in an envelope, unfortunately your tracking options aren't that great, and it's just, you know, but there is a system because I get notified when it is delivered, and I've always had mine sent to my mailing address, which is a UPS store location. So they'll notify me anyway if I get a package. However, like today I got some, I think it's stickers or something, and I just didn't have time to go get it. But yeah, so fast and easy. And I do like that we have that available to us. It's always, the 73-cent rate has always been available for trading cards and collectible cards, but then they opened it up to stickers. But you don't always have to put a sticker inside. That has been clarified. A sticker is just something that would fit in here and doesn't make it bulky. Because if it's more than a quarter of an inch, it's going to jam the machines, and they do not like that. They like the packages to go with the packages and the envelopes to go with the envelopes. That is a name I have not seen in a while, Susan Kinney. What is your favorite letter? Because I know you love shopping on Whatnot. Let me see here. S. Okay, hold on. Let me. So what else? What else can we talk about? Because oh, that's really pretty. That's really pretty. Okay, so I'm going to write yours down, and we're going to keep track of things. It's right here. Well, we talked about not being able to find things as soon as you start a live, which is weird. It's like the Twilight Zone. Okay, so yeah, so started off rambling about how I found a seller who's able to ship with FedEx and UPS and not use the Postal Service, but I was always told otherwise. I don't know how that's possible. If anybody has encountered that, please let me know. I don't want to spread false rumors. I just premiered a video that starts out talking about Whatnot shipping prices and breaking it down into lightweight, best rate, which is that 921 priority mail, or a single flat rate priority mail mailing box, and then heavyweight. I just did a video on that. So if that is already obsolete, I don't know. But that can happen with the internet, and that can happen with fast-growing companies. Whatnot is technically still in startup because its growth rate has never slowed. It's always stayed exponential. But a lot of that I thought was coming from different countries they were going out to. So has anybody gotten a FedEx or UPS delivery from a Whatnot order? Maybe that's the question to ask. Has anybody gotten something delivered FedEx or UPS? And the UPS drivers are the ones with the brown trucks, and the FedEx ones have the big logo on the side. Mama Lobster, have you ever gotten a FedEx or UPS delivery from something you ordered on Whatnot? Your answer may change the course of the future. We never know. We don't know if there are parallel alternate universes. So let us know if you've ever gotten a FedEx. So you have not. Okay. That's what I would have assumed. I was told we always use the post office, but I have found a seller. They do offer free shipping, and they are using FedEx and UPS. But you know, somebody mentioned the community aspect earlier. And I think that's a good thing because it's small enough that you know you're dealing with like real people, not scam. Well, excuse me. You know you're dealing with real humans. Willow Sky, if you would let me know if you're still here, I want to get back to your video. And the post office is no longer using UPS. Okay, you are here. So everybody follow Willow Sky. Willow Sky just launched a new brand, has had some successful shows, and is having a YouTube short video that's talking about that. It's taking off. So I love that. And you can watch the YouTube video on my channel, Stay Home to Shop, all one word, common spelling. Willow Sky, you could technically have a YouTube channel and only put up very few select videos for promotional purposes if you decide to do so. But, you know, the idea is you want to direct the customer to the appropriate place where they can make a purchase. And right now we're talking about Whatnot, so we're going to say it's Whatnot. So it would be like a page that says, follow me on Whatnot, go to my Whatnot store, sign up for Whatnot. Oh, that's another thing. Do you guys notice that not a lot of people, when you give them the sign up link, use the promotion to sign up for Whatnot? It's $15 to shop, and that's free. And that can definitely be a marketing message that you include if you want to put something on your packing slip. You can come up with the wording however you want, but you know, like pay it forward, bring a friend, include your referral code. You can even do it with QR codes. And Canva, for those who use Canva, it has a QR generator now. So it can take you to a video, it can take you to a sign up page. And so you could just, yes. And Willow Sky, they also sell a plugin or several, but you don't have to buy one. Eventually you'll find it on the side. You can actually ask the help bot exactly where to locate it. And actually I'm finding some of the help bots pretty useful. Because, you know, when I stare out into blank space and I don't hear a response, it's like, okay, well, I could guess, or I could just ask AI. And I've been asking AI a lot of questions lately, and I've been asking about the YouTube demographics because they are so far skewed, in a good way. This is a prime audience, so I'm not trying to scare anybody off. I'm just saying, how do we bring more people in? So everybody follow Willow Sky and everybody subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that's so super easy. But yeah, so if you have if you have a video that promotes your business, use it as often and frequently as you can. And yours goes a little bit into why you started it, so you could say it's your history. I don't know that I have a good example, but I can try to find something. Why don't I start a giveaway? Let's do that. And you'll get to pick your favorite letter. Okay, but just as bait, I'm just going to wave this. You're not getting this. But sometimes people just run through the screens. You're not getting this. This is what's not being given away. Let's do that. Okay, I'm still here. I'm still here. I don't see anything. I don't see anything, but I have a brand flyer that I used for quite a while. I'm not sure how effective it was, so but it took people to my Facebook page, or my YouTube page, if they used the smart code. And yeah, exactly, not for sale. Um, but yeah, put your video out there everywhere you can. Put a QR code, type out the link, do an icon that has like a little TV screen or a YouTube icon so people know where it's going to take them, and just run with it. The thing I love about Whatnot is it's the one platform that I can just do what I'm doing normally. This is a community show, so I'm giving a lot of my time, and that's the way community shows work. However, I can just do my thing, and then I've already got the video as long as I download it and capture it, and then I can use that and I can edit it and put it on YouTube. A lot of things we normally say on Whatnot don't make any sense outside of Whatnot. I did a whole, I don't know if it was a show, but I did a whole long session talking about Whatnotisms, words that just have a totally different meaning, or you wouldn't even know what it was referring to. So anyway, I try to make it all audience appropriate. And I also try to cut out times that I misspeak or I say so, because those are my stretch words where I'm trying to think of how to complete my thought or sentence, because you're seeing everything live, nothing scripted. On QVC, HSN, I think I can name them because they're the last of them. They have a lot more tools, but they definitely use teleprompters. So, and they have people instantly watching the sales charts, and they will tell them in their earpieces if they need to change something about their presentation while they're doing the presentation. So that is just how that works. So, but people still find that there is an audience for that. Whatnot tends to be a little more real, I guess. Tap the screen if you think Whatnot's a little more real than the QVC or HSN shopping networks, because we've had those for decades. And I love the early ones. The early ones. You can go on YouTube and search. So once you're on my page, you can still search for other videos. What you do is just search for like Home Shopping Club, 1980s, 1970s. They used to have like a horn that they would toot every time something happened. I think it was somebody bought something, or it was a new buyer maybe. But actually, during my shows with new buyers, I usually will try to pause and explain the shipping rates. This is all subject to change if FedEx and UPS are going to be includable. I don't know. I mean, realistically, I think the post office has been just fine for what I've sold. But if they're going to be another available feature, then I have to work that into my quote unquote script. But it's not a script that Whatnot gives us. And I wonder if that would actually be helpful. Like if they said how to talk about or how to explain shipping rates, how to ask for referrals or new signups, like just little bullet points, these conversations, because I think that people are going to naturally have a little bit of resistance. I am watching the chat. And Retail Rebellion, so you get a second letter. What would that second letter be? Oh, I just did it on the book. Okay. And Retail Rebellion. So yeah, and I mean, that doesn't cost me anymore. I can just put in the same envelope. It's going to be basically about the same. So what is the second letter you would like? You're already getting the J, correct? The J, if I can read my own writing. But if I can't, I can look at the video receipts. An L. JL. Is that jail? Oh my gosh. Fortunately, I haven't gotten too many nasty notes. Really haven't gotten any, but yeah, I mean, we're on the internet. We have to be responsible for what we say. That's just how it is. And I know it's easy to just kind of let that slide a little too far. Okay, so this is L. So that's you. So yes. Okay, so we're doing that. So those are those are definitely the business tips I would give to somebody who's launching their brand or trying to expand quickly. Use digital as much as you can. So anytime you have to mail something to somebody, get smart codes, special offers, coupons, discounts, deals, whatever, but digitally. You don't want to wait for somebody to send you a reply card because they never will. So try to just, think about, you've already got a video, it's already performing really well, so it's going to hit a certain audience. But my best guess tells me most of that audience has never used Whatnot, because that would be true of the general population. And if we're talking about my audience, maybe, because I have millennials, basically millennial men. Millennial men love the videos I put out on YouTube, and they should. They're so unique, they're one of a kind, they're really delightful, and that's exactly why some of my videos have just taken off. And then sometimes I'll take you on shopping excursions and something really weird happens and it'll just go boom. So you should watch all of my videos. You absolutely want to watch all of my videos. So yeah, and that's easy for Willow Sky because you got one. So I think maybe you made some more. But especially clothing selling, I think there's so many opportunities to capture an audience that really aren't even about selling thrifted clothes. Doing things like try-ons, doing things like a donation maybe, but just something that seems normal, and just have that be the video. And then people's natural curiosity will start to take over and they'll wonder, well, why is she doing that? Or why is she wearing that? Or why did she put that on? So sometimes we don't have to explain every single detail. And if you've got a lot of digital media, you can fill in the blanks by watching all of my videos. It's a perfect fit. The only thing Whatnot people can't do is see the full past shows. But technically, the giveaway winners, I believe you'll have access for 60 days. So you can rewind and replay as much of this as you want, as far as I'm aware. And I have to like bite my tongue sometimes because things can change so fast, and I don't want to mislead people. I have heard a lot of casual suggestions that I think would really slow down a seller if they took that advice. And I always assume, yes, we have another video star. And your video, oh my gosh, people love to see you at the post office. They absolutely can't get enough. So your video, but that's not a fair competition. So Willow Sky is getting a lot of views just naturally. I'm not advertising or paying to promote these. It's mostly going to show up in my general audience. And I think that's actually probably why the women, it used to be 80-20. So 80% millennial men, 20% women. That 10% shift is probably the short videos. There's one for Willow Sky and there's one for Chicago Dawn. And if you haven't seen them, I would tell you to watch them. They're 30 seconds. You'll take 1 minute out of your life, and it might inspire you and educate you. And because they're both at the beginning of launching their brands on Whatnot, they're like, they have an instant advantage. I actually wonder why Whatnot has never, I don't think they hasn't ever suggested like a welcome video, like just a get to know me kind of thing, because it's not that hard, and shorts can be as short as a few seconds. They don't even have to be 30 seconds. And the Naked Maple, you love seeing people grow. I'm amazing for helping them. Oh, thank you for saying that. I should run something, because it's weird how the audience fluctuates, and it will always pick up when somebody makes a purchase. And Cole's new to you, and I also saw Little Miss Sundress. So yeah, we're talking about different ways that people can use digital tools. They don't have to pay for them, but they can really promote their business and expand their customer base far beyond Whatnot, because YouTube goes out all over the world. And if I'm going to look at those numbers, if 2 short videos showing up on my channel can shift my demographics by 10%, that's major. That's not nothing. But you know, it's very tedious to go back and look at all of the view counts and things. And so for the most part, YouTube has some wonderful analytics that just kind of like combine it all and tell me. But does anybody know who Gemini is? If anybody can tell me who is Gemini, and yes, you're allowed to Google. If anybody tells me who Gemini is, I will run a giveaway for you guys. So there's an instant reward. And so yeah, having a video when you start your brand, or when you start really selling on a platform, I think can help you so much. But it won't necessarily carry you forever. And that's one thing I myself have had to remind myself about, is to constantly be refreshing marketing materials. And I will tell you, some of the projects I've been working on with newer sellers and small business owners has led me to kind of follow my own advice, and I am glad that it does some of it. And when I look away, I just have to talk to YouTube. So I have to talk to Whatnot, I'll talk to YouTube, but I don't keep up with the YouTube chat. So yes, because eventually some finalized version of this might make it out there. Nobody knows who Gemini is. Okay, well, Gemini has been telling me a lot of insightful information. I've been asking it because it's very knowledgeable about YouTube. So that's what I'll tell you. And I don't know if you guys are leaving because you need to search. Okay, well, you have the floor. Who's still here? Who's enjoying the party? And yeah, so community shows are also very unpredictable as far as scheduling. Although, let me think if I know somebody who does follow a regular. Okay, so Willow, so fantastic. You have my attention if you have a follow-up question, because I'm going to mention this. I kept, oh my gosh. Okay, hold on one second. I kept this card, and this, yes, it's Gemini is AI, but it's Google's AI, and Google owns YouTube. So whenever I have any YouTube related question, I go to Gemini. Like, go straight to the source, and it'll tell me the things it can't tell me. Oh, look, and this one does have a smart code. I've never scanned it. I myself am a little cautious to scan smart codes, but that's just me, because it's also got a web address, so I would probably just type it. And yeah, I think that this is one of the sellers I bought when I was trying to, I bought from when I was trying to reach 1,000 orders, and I still kept their business card, even though I haven't bought anything since. And they were DVDs. I believe they were all DVDs and some VHSs. And they were selling them basically by weight. Like these were titles they wanted to get out of their inventory. So I got a really good deal, and I still kept the business card though. So if you include something that the customer is likely to keep, but really ideally is going to want to keep, that will give your brand lasting value. Okay, so I'll tell you my sticker story. Because somebody tried to rip off my trademark. Oh my gosh. Okay, so originally, and I have sold a few, but originally I was going to sell stickers just as, something people could buy if they wanted to make a purchase, but they didn't necessarily need anything I was selling. And so I created a listing on a different platform, and somebody word for word copied it, even though at that point I had not sold a single one. So I reported it, and it actually got reported twice. And it was really weird because the account had some very strange other products. They were overpriced, and they all had stock photos, and they were just like, generic listings, because we get live video. So we have the most opportunity to engage, interact with the customer, exchange information, because we can do that as fast as we talk. Different platforms, if it's text, they give you a limit. So I think it's 80 characters for the title, but yeah, just cut and paste. So somebody was trying to rip my logo. Oh, and the other thing was they didn't use the same image though. I forget what they used, but it was something that could not possibly be mistaken for a sticker. So sometimes people will do things like that, testing the limits, and I think that's what was happening. But sometimes they'll keep those accounts open and maliciously use them, which I'm not a big fan of, especially if it's going to involve my brand. So anyway, so that's why I'm very reluctant to give out the stickers. And the other thing is, people can put that on anything, and then it's like, wait a minute, that's not a product I ever had anything to do with. So I just kind of have backed away. But Marsha Reedaville apparently has some fantastic stickers, so I'm going to check those out. And you're going to message me if you haven't already about Sticker Mule to get the $10 discount. They actually have a section for samples, and they usually price those really low. So you can pick up a few something, use your logo, see how you like it. And they do a really good job, and all you need is the code. But it's the same as Whatnot. Once you start using the service, you can't go back and say, but I didn't get my new customer deal. There is actually somebody who brought a lot of people over from TikTok, and I thought this was genius. And I'm not 100% sure. I can't understand why somebody would want to bring people from TikTok, but there was some reason, I'm sure. And they did not understand that the Whatnot referral links, even though it's just our username, so mine will end with Stay Home to Shop, the person has to sign up using that link. They can't sign up on their own and put it on their account later. And so they had put it in the show notes, and they were telling people, you'll get $15 off, you'll get $15 off, and people were saying, it's not working, it's not working. And I think they didn't understand that's not how the new account deal works. But then again, here's the thing. If they, let's imagine they just signed up as a seller, um, they wouldn't know that because they didn't go through the same process. So I'm pretty sure you folks have been around Whatnot for just a little while, so you may not remember when you signed up, but did Thrifting Tiff or Mary Tom 66, do you remember your sign up process? Because it is also different than the way most people would sign up. You go to a site, you go to a link, a website. Does anybody remember signing up? No one remembers. Okay. So if you can't remember, that's fine. It means we have to like guide the person along the way, because I mean, that is a very generous promotion to offer $15. I sometimes will mention that they've been giving free shipping to people who use iPhones. However, I can't guarantee that. So it's that one I'm a little iffy about promising or saying they're going to get free shipping. But yeah, I mean, truly somebody's first purchase could be free as can be. It is possibly possible to get a free item on Whatnot. But you have to use the new account sign up link, and you can't create duplicates. And I don't know why people think it's so easy to get away with like all this cyber stuff, because it all leaves digital trails. So I think that when I signed up, it was a $10 promotion, and I don't know whose link I used, and it doesn't matter because it worked out perfectly for what I needed. And at that time, I think they also were a little more stringent on reviewing sellers before we'd get approved to sell on the platform. And so I got approved in a day, and I was like, yes. Now, if you've watched the Gin Deals video on YouTube, it has a lot of expert business advice, especially when it comes to Whatnot. However, Gin Deals got denied 7 times. And so she had number 8 was yes. Okay, you can sell your stuff. I understand the power of persistence, but that is persistent. So yeah. I have to cut out all the ums. I don't have to, but for YouTube purposes, it's possible. You are correct, Willow Sky. It is possible that you can make so many purchases that they try to recruit you. I've had another seller say that exact thing, that they were shopping very heavily in a category, and then they got an email or message or something about selling on Whatnot. So yeah. Do you mind sharing what category you were most often shopping in? I'm just curious. And everybody else can fill in their answers. I mean, this is open to all. And if you don't use the power of the internet to your benefit and your advantage, I don't understand why. So make sure you're watching all of my other videos. Women's contemporary. Okay. Yeah. And that's kind of smart, actually. Are you familiar with Julie Becker? Julleebecker. Julie Becker. She does vintage teas. And okay, so you follow her. Yeah. So I was gonna mention something, but she explained to me that the way that women do their clothing shopping is different than the way men do their clothing shopping. And that people have an emotional attachment. So in that category, I think approaching good buyers and inviting them to sell is a really smart strategy. I'm not 100% sure that strategy carries through to every category. And I've never gotten that email myself, and I'm already selling. So, I mean, I'll never know. I will never ever know. I'll tell you a success story. So when I started the Ship Show, it was really meant. I'll do a giveaway too, because we did get a Gemini answer, kind of. We're running out of letters, folks. You got to get your questions in. I need question before we run out of letters. So the Ship Show started initially. It was just going to be kind of like it was going to be like a little mini workshop, and it was going to be limited to craft sellers, people who were selling crafts, and even more limited to people selling crafts who participated on raid trains. A raid train is when an organizer sets a schedule of shows throughout the day, and everybody has a certain time slot. At the end of their time slot, they use a feature called Raid. It takes their whole audience to a different seller. So you would think that raid trains would just be a sure sale, especially if we're talking about craft supplies. What is my why for... Okay, so I do see your question, Retail Rebellion. I am going to answer that. So the reason that some craft supply sellers weren't like getting sales was because their shipping compared to the item of the price was really high, and it could only be a few dollars. However, once they understood not to overestimate, but to estimate closer to the item's true weight, and they reweighed their items, they instantly changed their sales. It was boom. So like, I'm on a sales slump. I have 0 sales for like two whole weeks. I'm going to see how long that can last. Eventually somebody's going to say, I will buy something. But yeah, like craft sellers, they were participating in raid trains, so you've got buyers coming right to you. If you price your items correctly and you don't overcharge for shipping, because the seller doesn't get paid anything more to do that, and really Whatnot doesn't either. So it's best to just be close to accurate, not to overestimate. On different platforms, you kind of do often overestimate, so you'll add 1 additional pound to an order, imagining that some of the packaging material or whatever like pushes you right over the edge. So that's normal. And if it's small, lightweight, going up to the next 4 ounces or quarter pound is normal. But on Whatnot, it was unnecessary. Once they stopped doing it, once they corrected their shipping prices, we instantly solved that problem. And I thought, well, I am good to go. And thank you very much. You can tip me on the way in and out. But yeah, that happened. And so, like, after the first couple of weeks, people were very forcefully requesting that the Ship Show be open to the entire Whatnot community. And frankly, again, just like YouTube, I had no reason to say no. I welcome all people. So everybody on YouTube should be watching my videos. I mean, there's billions of users. At some point, there is a YouTube clip or video, even if it's a short, like Willow Sky's video. There is some video for you to watch on my channel. So there's no excuse not to be watching my YouTube. There's no excuse not to be shopping on Whatnot. And Retail Rebellion, you had a different experience with raid trains. Those are 2 separate but very appropriate questions. Okay, so what is my why of selling on Whatnot? Initially, it was because I had a lot of small, lightweight items, and it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make any profit for me to try to list these items one by one, especially craft supplies. I had a huge craft supply haul, but it wouldn't make any money for me to be selling, gosh, like this pad of scrapbook paper on a website where you just type the description, take some photos, and leave it alone until somebody comes to buy it. Now, on Whatnot, people will, they will actively fight me to sell that. Well, Scott, you'll get another. So we need another favorite letter, and it can't be one that's chosen. I did forewarn that we were running out of letters. So we are out of W, we're out of L, we're out of J, we're out of S. What else? M, we're also out of M. And Retail Rebellion. So you have had a different experience. Raid trains are not lucrative. What category have you participated in, or has it been multi-category? And there's actually a Whatnot. Hold on a second. Let me think where I heard this. There is a Whatnot sellers video. I think they still do replays. Maybe they don't do replays. Surprise you? Well, careful what you wish for. I might just send a little mini me that like repeats the alphabet and never turns off. Oh, I used to have a little light that I'd light up every time I got a new customer. It was so much fun. Okay, so here we go. So, but yeah, so there is a Whatnot seller, and probably the best diplomatic way for me to say this is to just quote or paraphrase what the Whatnot seller said about raid trains when they first started, and it was like more of an exclusive thing, and it was maybe one raid train per category. People got really excited, and the audiences were big, and big enough people would get into bidding wars. And now that we have more of a personal shopping experience in many categories aside from the top 4, and if you're curious, you're going to use my link and sign up. You're going to see them. They're the first 4 that you'll see. Aside from that, it's become more of a personalized experience. And so, yeah, doing a raid train isn't going to bring the same numbers. And people are not going to say it every time you raid. Yeah, so it's not going to bring the same numbers because there are just more of them. And I've talked to different organizers, and I can't give you anything that they've told me confidentially, but overall, I do suggest very often that they need to have something fresh if they're going to do one every week. Like there has to be a theme or something fun or a activity that is not gambling, activity that involves multiple shows throughout the day, so that the buyers, they're participating in the train, not just buying during their favorite seller show. So I've always said, you've got to be doing something fresh, something different, something new. Gifty Gypsy has done raid trains in the past, and I think she ran out as soon as I said that. She might not be advertising. But she was the one who introduced me to the 2 for Tuesday train, and that was the one that realistically, it's so funny because when I left, people said, "Oh, we thought you were the organizer," and I'm like, "No, I participated." The other thing about raid trains is the lineup does matter. It 100% matters. It's as serious as if you're trying to slot in television broadcast shows. Because if one show turns the audience away, the next show is going to suffer for it. So it becomes a little bit of a balancing act. Some people play nice with others. Some are super shady. Thank you so much. Because it taught me who to look out for. So, does anybody play Two Truths, One Lie? And by the way, with customers, we're shop talk here, but with customers, I am truthful. Uh, However, does anybody play Two Truths, One Lie, where you'll say two true statements? I have a whatnot flag. I was, I won this in a giveaway. I'm sending it to my friend in Paris. So, anywho, if you tell two truths, one lie, sometimes you'll be able to spot who's really spreading information around. But yeah, this one I didn't even have to do that. So let's get away from that. Because if you don't have a good functioning train that the organizer, you know which is the lie. Well, maybe you do. I didn't show you the packing slip. Maybe Mojo's wife Joni accepted money for it. She wouldn't, but maybe. Maybe I forced a tip on her. Maybe I gave her a $100 tip. Because that's the most Whatnot will allow us. And we had somebody, I was in a show this morning with a seller I really like. We had somebody who was coming up on a graduation, and for some reason his mom wanted to gift him like $113. I'm not sure why the 13, but it was a significant number, and she could not do that. There is no option to go over, and I don't think you can do any custom amounts. They're like $1, $5, standard increments. And I think it's the denominations of currency, so US dollars. So 1, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, I think. Could be totally wrong. One of those could be a lie. So the rate trains, for them to be successful, you've got to have people who play nice together and also who want to work together and promote each other. And in some categories, that can get a little difficult. Not because it has to be, but because people make it difficult. I have a friend, if anybody wants to tag Jessica CJ at Jessica CJ, the letter C, the letter J. I have a friend who's a seller on Whatnot, and we've done some co-hosted shows. And so one night I said, do you want to come in and co-host? Most people will ask, can I talk about my next show? Or tell people what my next show is. I've always thought if you're selling things on the internet, tell everybody when your next show is. Tell everybody how to watch your video or subscribe to your YouTube channel. Tell everybody. It's super easy. So she was so funny because she just smoothly came in, and as I was between different items, like the one that I'm not selling here, she started selling her own stuff, and I was like, that is perfect. I loved that. There were prior shows that we had agreed that's what was going to happen or how it was going to work. But she just didn't need to ask and just went and started selling her stuff, which brings me back to naughty words. Because sometimes people will do a red line when they want the host to see something that they don't want. And you guys both have been moderators, correct? I'm assuming. But when they don't want the whole audience to see, but not every profanity is blocked. So I, at the end of my show, was done because, I was doing live auctions and those instantly process. She had bundles for select customers, and that's a really good way to minimize your transaction charges. However, it does take a lot of time to put together custom bundles, and when the buyer doesn't actually finish the transaction, that was totally a waste. So my personal preference is always get the buyers to buy. And so I said, "Oh, do you want to, do you want to cash out your sales?" And she is a good seller who hasn't shown up. So she may never know all the nice things that I said about her. I could actually be talking to, to almost anybody in the world right now, and it would go out on the internet, and we'd see what would happen. So, yeah. So Jessica, she had buyers who had bundles, but she wasn't planning on it. And again, this wasn't prearranged. She just instantly, like, as soon as somebody asked about a particular item or she recognized somebody in the chat, she started selling stuff. She sells a lot of beads and gems, and she's got a whole store inventory in her home. So she just smoothly did it. I really wanted her to just get the bundle sold so that she'd have the money and then the customers would get their stuff. And she wanted to have them come to her next show, which you're always allowed to invite people to your next show. If you're co-hosting, technically you can't cashier sales while the host is selling during that show. Do you guys know the workaround? Because I was happy to do the easy solution. But I was saying, "Oh, I think you should cash them out," or whatever. She was concerned about them overpaying for shipping, because customers will pay for shipping each show. It's bundling per show. So even if you're buying a lot from the same seller, like that UPS and FedEx, but it's free shipping there, so that's of no consequence. We can't take a morning show and put it with an afternoon show in the same box, even if it will fit. It has to be two separate shipments. So yeah, since we can't bundle different show orders, she was concerned. She didn't want them to pay double for shipping. And normally I don't want the customer to overpay for shipping, because I look at that as more money they can spend on stuff. I usually have pretty low starts. What did I put in my auction tab, just out of curiosity? And nobody said they knew the workaround to do a co-hosted sale. But let's run another letter. We're not out of the whole alphabet. 0 items, so that would make a lot of sense. Oh, I know what I did here. Oh, this is very smart. So I did a first class mail postage, I did a lightweight package, a priority mail package, and then a heavyweight package. So if you guys want to look into buy it nows, but let's put a lightweight package here. And I'm going to move this one over to auction so I can pin it. Oh, I guess I could, you know what? I could have, let's keep it and buy it now. I think I messed that up. I think I can pin it. Do I have a duplicate now? Oh, who knows? Yeah, I can pin it. I'm not thinking. Okay. Hold on. If you restart a show within 2 hours, doesn't it all ship together? That is true. There's a little bit of a clause, though, and you've never done this, but you like to genuinely make sure you know when you restart a show someday. And with raid trains, because you've got to finish your show at the end of the train. With raid trains, it is very often or likely that a customer wanted to buy more of something you showed. They might say, "I'll buy every one of those that you have." So those are the exceptions, but any deviation from the train schedule is usually not permitted. CG Boomerang Echo, CEE GEE_boomerang_echo. She does raid train training. And this is all new from when I started. I just had to go off my prior business knowledge. And Whatnot is definitely its own case study for a business model. So yeah, so you can restart a show afterwards and then let it about that will mess things up if you've already generated the shipping labels. So that is something. And it's usually a best idea not to instantly generate shipping labels when your show's over. So that's that. It's usually better to go in, look at your weights, make your adjustments, and then run the batch of labels. But you have all day, but then you don't want to forget it and go on with your life and have 20 people saying, "Where's my stuff?" So you have to make a point to run your labels. But if you restarted a show to save somebody on shipping, absolutely perfect reason to do something like that, or correct something that happened during the show that's fixable. And can I make an adjustment from your phone or only the computer? Only the computer, as far as I'm aware. Try it on your phone. I don't have an Apple iPhone, but in my shipping video. Okay, so this is the perfect YouTube opportunity, because I know you're like, what is this guy talking about? You can't even imagine it, because Whatnot is its own universe, which is why you sign up with the link in the description box. There is a video that talks about printing labels from your phone, and that one's super short. It's like 4 minutes, I think. And it's actually even easier now because they made some enhancements, but we can only print the label. We can't change the label on the phone. You have to use a desktop or a laptop to do adjustments. But here's something that would have helped the craft community understand that they probably didn't know, because I didn't know it. It would have helped them to know that your free adjustments only are going to be necessary if you're moving between different rate classes. So lightweight, if I've estimated half a pound, it's really 3/4 of a pound. Then I have to make that label adjustment, but that's not a charge for me. And Retail Rebellion, what is your favorite alphabet letter? It doesn't generate a charge for me. If you stay within that lightweight range. And then the best rate of 921, we always had the ability anywhere, including 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 4 pounds, 5 pounds. You could move between any of those numbers and it wouldn't use an adjustment credit or require additional payment. Gee. Oh. Okay. Oops. And then on heavyweights, if you go above 5 pounds, but test this out, because it'll tell you at the bottom or on the screen what the financial effect is. If you make more than a 5 pound change, sometimes it will show a charge. Sometimes it doesn't, because you're in a competitive rate band. May you change your L to a C. Oh, we can do that. We can do that. Okay, so yeah, within the lightweight, you can move the weight around. No additional charge needed. Best rate, you can move the weight around. Heavyweight, you can move it within 5 pounds, I think. But use your own example. I can't predict at what every package is going to total. So yeah, and so going back to the craft community, since they were selling a lot of small lightweight items, if you were estimating everything was going to be 3/4 of a pound, by the time somebody bought the second item, they've paid $9.21, and the total package might have only weighed 3/4 of a pound. Crafters are, well, I should say after the ship show, they've gotten very good about hitting the exact weight, but not going over. So things like that. I've seen shows where people are like doing live pallet pulls, not weighing items, and they're saying, well, what do you think this is going to weigh? And they'll say, okay, so we'll put it in for, again, a pound more. I will just mention, okay, so 5.1 ounces is technically 6 pounds. So you do have to buy a pound more. And it's not always the best idea to overestimate. But again, the customer sees what they're going to be paying at the bottom of the screen. And so in the craft community, those numbers were scaring people away. And once we got sellers to understand, weigh your items, go and adjust it, don't overestimate, they started to sell all day long. The Happy House is joined. Congratulations, you've made it. And I know you're watching the YouTube live, so that's when you go to the same name on YouTube. You can do, there's a live show. And sometimes the YouTube is a better video quality, and sometimes Whatnot is a better video quality. It's very strange. It's hard to predict. So yeah, if the craft community knew they had a lot of wiggle room within that lightweight range, or even best rate, I don't think they would have scared as many sales off. But you know, once we got that word out, everything was fixed, and I was like, okay. And I found a women's clothing seller, and he actually had a shipping challenge, so we were able to do it as a group project, and it was fun. Now, some people in group projects are going to enjoy them, other people are going to not enjoy them, but it was perfect for sellers, you know, because it's like, look, we already fixed your problem. Whatnot didn't pay me for that, okay? You just got the $1 million answer handed to you. So what else do you need? So I happened to encounter a women's clothing seller found by Phil, Phil, and his challenge was he needed to bring in new customers. And so we put our heads together, and I don't think I have this showing, but there's a card that we came up with that says, save some trees and send some green, $15 on your first Whatnot order. It has the link, and then it explains, we want you to reuse that package. Because a lot of the boxes that we use are very, very reusable. So that was the solution. And so obviously Phil's would be found by Phil. He was already putting his own smart or QR code on his boxes, and that's something that caught my attention. And by definition, I want to make sure I didn't miss a comment. If people are using that link, they are a new customer. So that seemed perfect. And other people used it. I had it where you could like, just give me your link, I'll sell you a few. People could use it however they wanted, and the people who used it, they seemed to like it. I used it myself. It's impossible for me to know if it did anything. Because again, in order to get the referral credit from Whatnot, you like everything has to go according to their protocol. Like if you told me Whatnot's an app, I would just go to my app store and download it, and then I'm sure when I opened it, it would ask me information. That is not how you use the referral link. The referral link, you have to go to the internet first, and then I guess eventually it takes you into your app store or something. But they have a certain way that you have to sign up, and I don't exactly know what it is. If anybody's new, you can tell me. But yeah, so the goal was save some trees, send some green. There was an environmental message, there was a money saving message, and it would, by necessity, be going to people who likely have not signed up for Whatnot, because it was a reuse of that package. And I always tell sellers, use your packaging as your marketing. It's like I'm sending you a billboard every time I send a package out the door. And I'm not always good at following my own advice. And I will tell you though, um, if you consistently promote your brand, it it will carry you pretty far. Um, the postal carriers, they all recognize me. They know every one of my packages because I put the logo on the label. I just stamp it. And I mean, even to the point that I was out on an afternoon walk and one of the postal carriers flagged me down and told me that I had to um, lock my mailbox before they could do another pickup because they wouldn't leave mail in an unlocked box or something. And I'm just like, okay, thanks. But I was on my little neighborhood walk and the mail carrier knew me. So yeah, you're um didn't ask me why didn't I say stay home? Oh, why I didn't stay home. Right, exactly. You know, and actually, I think a Walgreens manager saw some of my YouTube videos, but she couldn't place it because she kept asking me like, "Where have I seen you before? I know I've seen you before. Um, like, are you an actor?" And I'm gonna mention when I do my shopping trips, the less they recognize me, the better. But if somebody's watched YouTube, then yeah. So she was kind of grasping at it. I kind of thought maybe she's seen a video or two, um, but whatever. People just recognize the logo. People love the trademark. It's very instant recognition, and it works on all platforms it's been tested on in the U.S. And I think I answered the questions. But if there are questions, I love questions because I learn more from the chat sometimes than I even imagine. Uh, but yeah, I think Whatnot's a wonderful community. Growing any community is going to bring a good overall effect. Certain categories need to grow by a lot for them to be financially resourceful. And so, aside from the four top categories, there's a lot of room for people to sell a ton of stuff in terms of units and in terms of dollars. And oh, Kevy, um, so yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity. You know, one of the things that I am, how do I say this? One thing that I notice is when I come on what the first shows recommended are. And it's not always the same. And I wonder if there's a way that, again, Whatnot knows my shopping history and habits, which is all over the place. But you know what? That's a demographic. That's my YouTube. Bring it. Thanks for sharing, Rebel Rebellion. That just means that you click a little button off to the side of your phone and it'll pop up a window and you can just share it with any Whatnot user you think is going to benefit from seeing this information. Since we don't have access to replay, yeah, you kind of have to know where this is going. But I would love it if there was some kind of category interweaving so that buyers experience the categories they're most likely to make their next purchase in if it's shown. Because, like, for me, as an example, I don't buy a lot of sneakers, but they run at a really fast pace. I like watching the sneaker shoes because I get a lot of sales ideas, but I'm not a sneaker guy. It doesn't mean I'll never buy sneakers. Oh, by the way, I've won a pair of sneakers. Thank you so much, Blazendary. I love the pair of sneakers. The person who bought it from me loved them and also loved reselling them again, I think, on Whatnot. So that one giveaway has come like 3 turns. Hi, Kat. If you got questions, we are talking about all sorts of fun stuff. But there is a YouTube live, and I always tell people have both open because you'll get the full view on YouTube. On Whatnot, it's a little tight. So yeah, so I would like it if there was a way that Whatnot would look at customers and kind of curate their journey. Now it's really easy to lose a customer or a user if they have a bad experience. It's really hard to find a new customer, and really the only effective way I've ever known is by giving good customer service and having your current customers recommend you. So that's something that, again, and I'm a little self-interested when I say this because Home and Garden does not have any shows. They're sporadic. There just aren't that many sellers. And Home and Garden is such a huge, ginormous category in general on the internet. I can't understand it. I'm like, why? If you guys have insights, please share them. Because I might have some insights about women's contemporary. I have actually had quite a few female customers in real life and online shop with me in the past. And you love gardening and would love to watch some. And so that's another thing. The area that does have shows is plants. But everything else, it's just like a desert. It's kind of like a dead mall. It's like, there's a store that should be there, but you keep walking. How do I find out what categories aren't oversaturated? Do you have a suggestion? Because you can just go there. You can take a show there. You can see if new people come in. This show, the sales velocity is 0, so it would be the least likely to get new people. But hey, it can happen. So it's just one of those things. Oh, but that's another recommendation I have for raid trains. I should actually see. I don't want to step on CG's toes because she's really put a lot of time and research and effort into researching raid trains and giving good advice. But one of the early recommendations I made was have a sale within your first 15 minutes. And that will make a difference in terms of your audience for the remainder of the show. The trains I've participated on have been 1 hour. There's only been like one that was half an hour, but some of them are 20 minutes or 5 minutes. But yeah, within that first quarter time block, as soon as you can get a sale, that's when you need that sale. But if you want to see the categories that aren't oversaturated, go to your desktop computer because it'll show you, quote unquote, how many people are shopping. Now, those numbers are going to be high, and I think that's when people have tabs open or they put their phone down and they're not active, but, they're in a room. So the numbers can be a little high. But yeah, all you have to do is look at the customer count, and you are welcome for all the info I can give you. I've gotten it from other people. Summer Bonkers, Paulette's, welcome. Well, we've got to do a giveaway. So we started out this show. I opened up some packages. They were both very nice and packaged. We talked about some recommendations. Willow Sky is launching her brand on Whatnot, and it's going really well. And so she's got a promotional video on YouTube. It's a short video, 30 seconds. So we were talking about different ways to use that. But if you guys have other suggestions, we would love other suggestions. And I'll tell you the person who I got a lot of my beginner seller advice from was Tweetko, Tweetkoe. Everyone has their own style. So some people are going to want to follow CG. Other people prefer Tweetko. Wonder Woman 64 has helped new sellers get to their first 1,000. And sometimes it's just a style mismatch because we're all very different. And actually, one of the things that people do you think it's an unfair advantage that I'm a man selling in the craft category and there's a majority of women buyers? Does anybody believe that's an unfair advantage, or I get some kind of additional sales that way? I'd love to hear. Oh, by the way, enter the giveaway. You will get to choose your favorite letter of the alphabet, assuming somebody else hasn't already claimed it. And these are you could frame these. So does anybody think there's an unfair advantage for guys? I'm specifically talking about the craft category because this was a remark that was made to me. For men who sell in the category instead of women. Crickets, crickets, crickets. So everybody thinks it's yes. Okay. Should I assume that there is? I mean, I just want to mention, I'm going to move on. I'm not going to dwell on that point. I think you can look at anything as an advantage or disadvantage, but in my exact scenario, I don't think that it gives me an unfair advantage. I think maybe the only benefit would be somebody might stop and sample the show because they normally would expect to see a woman, but instead they see a man. But in the craft category, they normally would expect to see product and people's hands on a table. You don't think that it does give an unfair advantage. You watch Clothing Lives with both and Craft Lives with both. Right. Yeah. So I was one of the earlier guys who would sell craft supplies on Whatnot. And this is only going back a little bit more than a year. But, categories can really kaboom. So what was the category you would like to explore, or if you could idea? I would love home and garden, by the way. I encourage everybody to sell home and garden. Please, please, please. There is a TV network that's called Home and Garden. Seriously, every doctor's office always has HGTV playing in the waiting room. People love Home and Garden. They don't enjoy the doctor's office, but they love Home and Garden. So I can't understand why Home and Garden hasn't captured a bigger audience. I just can't. I don't have any explanation. I can only give you my observation. But the thing with clothing shows is they run different. You would love to sell gardening stuff if you could sell cute gardening clothes. There's a woman who makes custom aprons. I know that's not exactly what you're looking for, but you might get some ideas from her. And I'm trying to think of who it is. mix. So Willow Sky, tell me what your future show plans are. I saw the one show in the background. And did you ever figure out what the postage thing, like what it was? Because I think I looked and it was categorized as a sticker. But realistically, done is done. So what is your future? Be breezy. Congratulations. You will get a giveaway. I need your favorite letter. I need your favorite letter. So it can't be one that's been taken. So C, G, J, W have been taken, as well as M. And you want the B? Okay. The B. Well, you get to be A, B. Depends on your mood, right? Yeah, it's so fun. Oh, correct. Correct. Yes. Any show. Okay, so you had to basically have the first class shipping option enabled, and any show that was created before that, it doesn't go back and fix that. So it's, I don't know. Keep an eye on it because you can change your shipping settings in your phone. You can enable it before the show. But yeah, so before your next live show, go into your phone and click on in first class shipping. Like that's what I would. Well, hold on, I'm trying to think. How would it know? Then you should edit your show. Change something. It could be one letter in your title. It could be like a question mark, exclamation point. Change it, update it, and then it should have your current shipping settings. But people can help you with that. So I put like in the buy it now, I put all the different weight options. So if I was way off, you guys could tell me those numbers look whack. Because sometimes, unfortunately, people they see is 921, even if they were going to start less than 921. But yours is a different situation. So, but yeah, you are actually at a okay. So I'm not trying to tell anybody how to run their business. But yeah, you're at a perfect point if you want to do some outdoor scenery with your shows. I mean, you have to test this out because you can get a lot of noise from the wind and stuff, even if it's not windy. But test it out because you can sample it. You can do a rehearsal mode and see if you can get a good shot of you outdoors. Really, anything that's going to grab somebody's attention as they're looking through the shows. That's what you want to have. You want something unique or different or whatever. Oh, by the way, the person who suggested the shade leaf is the one who was kind of shady, but it was a good recommendation. They said that it went really well with my art, so I'm like, well, I'm keeping this because I've sold so many artificial stems, and I've sold an entire garden collection. But those. So I do a lot of clearance hauls, retail arbitrage, blah 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 blah. So those opportunities really only happen after the season is over. So it's not like something I can do every day. And yes, I would seriously expect that for next year, prices will be much higher on a lot of things because right now they're currently priced. Uh, so look for stores that print their um, price on the packaging. Those are good stores to start shopping at. But sometimes they'll walk around with stickers. They'll take a $10 item and make it $20. But yeah, the thing about clothing is the demonstration style can be so different from person to person, and um, technically, you would want somebody to wear the garment so that the customer could see how the fabric and the pattern lay and blah blah blah. The only reason I know this is there was like a Court TV episode that like just focused on the fact that, well, the pattern was not put on a model and that is the standard used, blah 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 blah. So they were getting it seemed like there were two parties. One was copying the other allegedly. However, the attorney said, no, you've got to see it on the person before you can make a determination if it's a whatever copy or whatever. But once they walk down the runway, it's open season. So yeah. So ideally, if you could have models, that would be fine. Sometimes that's not practical on uh, very short, like auction times. Now, if I was going to sell clothing, do I think a mannequin would work? I think it's worth trying. I do think it's worth trying, like a torso. Um, or you could even do a hanger with like a torso or whatever. But you know, those kind of things, there's so many stores closing and shutting down. You could go to you can go to a Macy's and buy their display stuff. Uh, and the liquidators don't really discount that much because that's what they're paid the most commission on. So if they market like $45, they might agree to sell it for $40, but they're not going to take 90% off. Um, and yeah, it's so weird. There have been so many stores going out of business recently, and you know, I don't know. Some of it's a little sad. Some of it's like I can't believe they lasted that long. But yeah, if you can do something different in your shows, using a model or a mannequin would be perfect. Now, if I was going to sell clothing, because men's clothing is totally different than women's clothing, if I was going to sell clothing, I would get one of my friends. And by the way, I go to a community pool, but it's a private pool. So I know the guys in the neighborhood that look good in their beachwear. So I would have them put on and take off t-shirt after t-shirt after t-shirt after t-shirt because these guys are in good shape. So anybody who's like a little muscular in good shape, it's going to show exactly how that person would look. Um, that's just me. I haven't tried it. I don't have a big stack of t-shirts to try it with. But you know, if you and I have a dressmaker's form myself. One of my neighbors just gave it to me when I told him. I don't know if I had to tell him. You know, eventually people find out you're selling stuff online. Like once your like front porch like overflows with boxes and stuff, people figure this out. So, so I don't know if I had to tell him, but he offered a mannequin, dressmaker mannequin, but it is a woman's dressmaker, so I can't use it for guy clothing. It just doesn't look the same. But yeah, you know, try it. If it doesn't work, best news, you can always sell it to somebody else, or you can do something else with it. It's just for a really long time, I would say mannequins were one of the harder display pieces to find. But now that they're closing so many stores so fast, I think it's probably a pretty good selection. But they're regular price are expensive, like really expensive. Do you remember the 1980s movie Mannequin? Oh, I would love it if somebody said yes. Um, that store is closing. That became a Macy's that is closing. Um, Tyra Banks, I don't know, maybe. I don't know. Um, but it was a guy who, like, after hours, like the mannequin would come to life when they were alone. That was the whole theme. But they shot it in this really, like, grand store. It had like an 8-foot atrium, I think, or something. Um, I know at least 6 feet, so, or 6 floors. 6 floors. Yeah, six floors. It was a little more than 6 feet, but it was a original family-owned department store that then got bought out over the years by competitors, and eventually it was Macy's, and so they have chosen to just close it. They don't see that they can make enough money selling whatever they're trying to sell at that location. Uh, but it's so different than the way a modern department store would look, because you wouldn't see the architectural features. They have historical sculptures, or one historical sculpture, and they have an organ that are protected as registered historic pieces. So those are going to stay no matter what happens. And then sometimes when these stores close, it's like, oh, I wish I would have gone there. I wish I would have gone there. Um, Most of the stores in my area, the original ones, the ones that have architecture, have all closed a few years ago. So yeah, but that store that they use in the movie, um, it's closing. It's done. So just happens. It's the way it is. Oh, did we? Oh, no, we didn't do another giveaway. We don't need to. So you guys know that we can change categories. That was one of the reasons I was asking what category did you want to see if it's oversaturated. You can change categories while you're in a show. All I have to do is go to the computer, go to edit, and pick a new category. It has to be a future time. So, like 5 minutes from now or whatever. And then we'll automatically zap into that different category. Uh, but the other thing I wanted to say is any edits you do on the computer, you want to make sure that the coupons, if you're offering coupons, that you re-select it, because it's going to go back to no coupons. Um, Fab Jody Fines, tell us about what you've been selling on Whatnot. I'm sure I'm sure you've had some success. That's such a good name. And actually, that was not hard for me to read. I was able to read that, I think. Fab Jody Fines. Maybe not. Maybe I've scared somebody out of the room. Oh no. But yeah, so you can change your category, and you can change. Your show is scheduled for May. Oh my gosh. Well, you are perfect. So welcome. I am Stay Home from Stay Home to Shop, and you can go to YouTube, and there is a whole playlist of Whatnot videos. A new one just premiered tonight, and the one issue that causes most people not to hesitate on selling is they don't understand the shipping. So you can just watch that video and you'll have it down. Just put it on replay. I've had people do that. But yeah, it's a good one. So the one that I've had the most views on is like 6,000 now. And this is such a specific topic that I know it is people from Whatnot watching it. It's not just random general public. It's such a specific topic that it's Whatnot sellers. But that has thrown my demographics way out of whack. Um, but that's okay. They're going to be whatever the numbers are. And as long as YouTube and Google can figure that out, perfect. So, okay, so you said that you were confused, but you set yours to priority shipping. Yeah, try, try it out. You can always change it. You can change it as soon as the next show. You just can't change it during a show. But yeah, some people will choose priority for 6 to 70 pounds, or you could choose ground advantage. But that middle choice between 1 and 5 pounds and flat rate, even if you made the wrong choice, you could flip that before you made that customer's label. That could be adjusted after the show because they're the same price. It's $9.21. That's the best rate for priority in anywhere. So, very good. So yeah, if you've got time to get ready for your shows, you can definitely sample other people's shows, learn about the shipping. The only other thing was people said, I forget, Whatnot Sellers has not done a lot of shipping videos, even as things have upgraded and enhanced. And one barrier was maybe people didn't have access to a printer or have a printer. Those you could buy a printer at a thrift store, and everybody's going to tell you you have to have a thermal. I am not. I am not going to say that. You have to have a printer that can print readable barcodes. So whether that's a laser or an inkjet or whatever, as long as your barcodes will scan, that's the only thing. And we saw Big Papa Pump and Lev's Craig's. I think that I had to mispronounce that. But yeah, the thing about Whatnot that I've noticed in my anniversary year, because I started more than a year ago, so that was my second Easter, my second Valentine's. Obviously, a lot has changed with just the world, period. And people still enjoy the experience. So if we can offer that and provide them with good customer service, I don't see any reason that somebody wouldn't be successful on the platform, especially in some categories. There's just huge untapped opportunity. If you have a show scheduled, you can always promote that. So you can put that in the chat now. And if you don't want to promote it, you don't want to promote it. It's totally okay. Because, this is, for all purposes, your business. Everybody who's a seller on Whatnot, you run your own business. So you can make whatever business choice you want. But I always, or I shouldn't say always, the most frequent question that I am asked is shipping. How do I set up my Whatnot shipping settings? That is the most frequent question I am asked. And I know it's because I do a seller support every other Thursday called The Ship Show, which is one of Whatnot's most popular live streams is The Ship Show. And The Ship Show is still there. And it's still open to everybody in all categories. And it's still free of charge. And we get some really good questions, though. Every category has its own particular pain point or issue, and things that I wouldn't even imagine because I sell what I sell have come up as questions. And then sometimes the expert will instantly appear. And that's the magic of Whatnot. The power of persuasion. I don't even have to change categories. Vandelay Industries. Is that correct? Or and Harvey Corndog. Okay, interesting. Interesting names. Now that is, and let me look at this. If you have it set to regular priority and something's under 16 ounces, will Whatnot automatically revert to ground advantage? So when do you think you would know? Because it's going to change my answer. When would you find out that something weighed 13 ounces? Like at what point in the process? And I can give you a better response. And I'm not trying to be difficult here, but at what point are you referring to the class change? Because it does change between lightweight, which is less than a pound, heavyweight, excuse me, best rate, which could be 1 to 5 pounds, or a single flat rate package, and heavyweight, 6 to 70 pounds. I mean, the short answer is Whatnot doesn't automatically change anything. But I'm really curious to know when you're thinking that would take place. Like, is it during the show or when you print your labels? I mean, when would it switch? I mean, on the priority mail, you can't make a wrong choice, and ground advantage is already preset for lightweight. So, um, I hope that helps. Now, that is kind of an offshoot of a question I've heard in the past, and that is, why doesn't Whatnot calculate the least expensive way for my orders to arrive? In other words, if it's going to be shipped in 2 boxes and not 1 box, because a lot of this will start to be determined by the seller settings. And the short answer is the buyer has already paid, and they agreed to pay whatever price when they bid on the item or did the buy it now. So that's that. But yeah, it's not going to recalculate anything for the buyer because they've already been charged, and that's the only amount they're going to be charged. So if it does create a charge on the backside, the seller might be responsible if we aren't within our um, adjustment ranges. And I talked about those earlier. Or you could use a free adjustment allowance for overweight, not oversized. There's actually, I don't know what it was, but at some moment there was like a lot of YouTubers doing this, like, I'm going to sell 1,000 things on Whatnot, or how long is it going to take me to sell 1,000 things on Whatnot? I mean, you could be done in a day. It really depends on what you're selling. So, and I think also there was a couple that went into it, but they kept changing categories of products, and that can really mess things up because you never get a good grasp on that product and how to estimate the shipping and how to pack things and all that. You never really get that product, uh, mastered. And so eventually they went to sell power tools, and power tools are tend to be large, bulky items that will exceed a cubic foot, which is 12 by 12 by 12 inches. Okay, if you have seen priority and something is lightweight. which things do you have set up? I'm trying to understand this because the item weight, or did you go in and do a lot of custom profiles? Like you did a separate profile for scissors. Is that what you did? Because yeah. So if you're doing runs per weight class, it's not going to move down. It's going to move up as the customer buys more. And if you want to look at the buy it now, it has actually every weight class band. It shows you a price. So that just to kind of give you a guesstimate. And I'm in the middle of the country, so in the middle of the middle of the middle. But yeah, as long as you're choosing the correct weight class for the item, then it will just increase. It wouldn't decrease. And okay, so let's talk about an unusual example. Let's say that for whatever reason, okay, so 18 ounces. So let's say that I bought 6 items from a seller, which the estimate at the lowest weight class would be 18 ounces. So that would put me at $9.21, and I have priority mail. Oh yeah, so the point about buying different items and each having its own shipping class, it's a non-issue. It's going to bundle it. So it's the total of everything they're buying. And Whatnot is using smart bundling to make those cost calculations, and that's the price the buyer agrees to pay. So yeah, so I get it. I understand. If you're a newer seller, I can understand why some of this wouldn't make sense. And the biggest reality shift that I had, oh, by the way, please don't do that. Please don't set up custom profiles for like each product you sell. Please, please, please. If you do that, it makes it impossible for anybody to help you figure out what's wrong with your shipping. So I use the preset ones, and I have like a couple for some oddballs. So the oversized won't qualify. Yeah, anything that's preset. Yeah, that's exactly. So if I bought 6 items from you and they were all the lightest lightweight, which is 1 to 3 ounces, that would total up to 18 ounces, putting me in priority mail. So my total shipping would basically be $9.21. And then I could go up to 5 pounds without having to pay more, or if it would fit in a flat rate box. So, by the way, does anybody know the maximum number of items you can buy without exceeding 5 pounds? Because I've had a customer do that. So, I mean, from a seller's perspective, that's fantastic. You know, we maxed out your weight allowance. But then going back to the other order, so 18 ounces, it happens that the total package weight is 14 ounces. Seller to seller, I would leave it at 18 because that's basically what the customer is expecting now, and they've already agreed to pay. Priority mail technically is considered a higher class of service. Okay, so that's a different question, and I will answer that. So the example of from going 18 ounces to 14 ounces, technically, then it is going to revert to ground advantage if the seller runs the label at that weight. it will actually generate a ground advantage. It doesn't refund the customer any money, and they've already paid what they were required and agreed to pay. So there is a way to force it to, I'm not going to say malfunction, it's doing what it's supposed to do, but to force it to be mean. There's a way to use the adjustment to force it to be mean and downgrade. If you had somebody who was in priority mail range and you actually weighed your package, realizing it was ground advantage instead. And so there is a way to do that. Okay, but with your other, yes, so seems so vintage. I haven't seen you in a little while because you've been busy selling. So I am going to run a giveaway. And is that the last one? No. Okay, so yeah, it is the last one. Okay, so everybody get in, and you will get your favorite letter, most likely. So the question, let me restate this question. What if the weight doesn't go over a pound, but I have an item set to priority mail? Like if they only bought the one item. How I'm gonna guess. So correct me if I'm wrong. You're going to your shipping settings and you're putting a maximum of 1 in the priority mail category. I'm trying to understand. Nothing automatic. I mean, we use best guesstimate, so nothing automatic. But where would you limit it per one item? Because the power tool example might actually be a situation that it would have worked better. So this very fun couple, they tried all these different categories on Whatnot just before I started, I think, or right around the time I started. And they lost money on power tools because power tools were exceeding 12 inches by 12 inches by 12 inches. And they didn't go in and do any pre-estimate of what that would be. And they could have done that. That is possible. But it won't automatically. So one item, the only way to get it into priority in the first place is to make it a pound, or to limit your items to one item. So that's the only way to get it into priority, is to disqualify it from ground advantage. But then you're saying the weight, however, actually fell back into ground advantage. So it won't automatically do that. Whatnot is going to tell you anytime there's going to be a change when you go to run your labels and you start making adjustments, it will tell you if it's going to incur a cost. So that's a feature that you'll see in action. So nothing automatic, but I would keep them at priority if they've already paid priority rate. So if they do not purchase enough, yes, you will have it set to ground. One thing you can do, let me see if I did this at my shop. Giveaway. Oh. So I've got one that's letter mail. So I've got a $5 item that qualifies for priority mail. So you can have items or labels, and you could just put it in your buy it now. So for $5, if somebody really wanted priority mail, but they were buying this pair of scissors from me, I know this does not weigh a pound. I would guesstimate this weighs between 1 and 3 ounces, but they really, really want to get it priority mail. go buy that $5 item, and that kind of solves it. But yeah, if it doesn't come up to a pound, it's going ground advantage. That is Whatnot's rule. Let me ask: are some of these questions because Poshmark does 1 to, I think, 5 pounds, all priority mail? Is that why you've got some questions about the first pound or less than a pound? Or is it just you want to be prepared? Because I think I've found a few sellers who come over with prior experience, and they make some assumptions, and you already know that ground advantage is less than a pound. So oh, and you get a favorite letter. So what would you like? What is your favorite letter? Fab Jody Finds, what is your favorite letter? J has been taken. What's your second favorite letter? Okay, let me make sure it's not on the back of J, but yeah, it's not on the back of J, so that's the one. That's the one you'll get. Okay, so I'm going to put that. And, before you do your first show, the more you're comfortable explaining shipping, because it can come up, the better. So I do recommend playing that YouTube video a few times on repeat. And pretty quickly, customers will understand where Whatnot's shipping discount points are, and they'll just know that that's why they're seeing the numbers at the bottom of the screen. But you don't have to overestimate. And I think that, in a perfect world, we would just use one class of service. But I asked, and nobody answered, if they've found any seller that's been able to use UPS and FedEx, because I found one that is, and they're selling on Whatnot, and I don't understand how. But they run their business however they have it set up. If they negotiated that with Whatnot, or they found some allowance or something, I think you've already got it set up the correct way. I don't think you're going to have much issues. And then again, the first item, depending on where the person lives, the distance, the weight, it might be between like $4 and $6, and then they buy a second item and it'll take them up to $9.21, and then after that it goes into priority mail, and it'll start to say free shipping at the bottom. So it will tell the customer when they're in that sweet spot or that zone of free shipping. So that is a very nice feature, and everyone's shipping price is different. So there's like not a single number that you can quote someone. So if somebody said, well, how much is it going to cost for you to ship that pen to me? I would have to calculate theirs, and I'm not going to. Because that is the benefit of Whatnot. Whatnot's doing it automatically. I'm not going to try to out-calculate the computer. The computer's going to get it right. So whatever number is at the bottom of your screen, that's your shipping cost. Oh, and did you get invited, or did you sign up? Out of curiosity. I'm repeating some of the same questions that people answered earlier in the chat, just to see if we have a different experience, because it seems as if some people have been invited to sell on Whatnot, but then others have found it and signed up. So I don't know. And seriously, I don't know whose referral link I used, but thank you, whoever you are. It obviously worked. And let me look. If you've got your show up, so you've already got some products showing. I want to look at one of these. Okay, so perfect. So even before your show, you could get some orders. You signed up and you were onboarded over a year ago, and you just haven't started a show. Okay, well, hey, there's no reason not to start. But the way that you've got some of your listings, and I think this is a good idea. You've got some items that people can buy before, during, and after your show. They can just buy those listings because you've got a set price, you've put in the weight, all that good stuff. Those are called marketplace listings. And so your show does have some items reserved, but people can shop with you now if they really wanted to. And Fab Jody Finds, let me look. Wait, what did I want? I wanted to look at something. I wanted to look at your profile. Let me see if there. It took me too far. Show. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so here's another. So I will suggest go to my Whatnot profile and bookmark the Ship Show episodes. Those are every other week. On Thursday, always 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the only time and day they've ever been. So Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Bookmark those, and then also you may improve your results if you schedule shows ahead after your first one. So in other words, you're just getting started, testing the waters, and you're allowed to do that. And you're also allowed to reschedule future shows or cancel them altogether. So I would tell anybody, you want to have like at least 4 shows scheduled in advance. But I put a show for every holiday of the year. I did have an Easter show that I decided it was not the year to do an Easter show, so I just moved it ahead a year. And then, by the way, if you ever see me selling Caribbean artwork, that is probably going to be my last Whatnot show, because that has been scheduled and rescheduled like dozens of times. So that is one thing I learned from another seller, is put your future shows out there. Don't just have one show. And again, you're just starting, so you probably want to have as many good indicators or signals to your buyers that you're going to do a good job for them, and I'm sure you are. And you should also watch on my YouTube channel. There's a shipping video list that's number one featured videos or something, and that'll show you the 2 video shorts that 2 different sellers made. I edited them, but they're having really good success and really good views. So if you do your own, that would be another feature that you could include in your show marketing, whether it's for your first show or your second show, whatever. You could just have a short video, and that's helpful. So those are kind of the 2 points that I got early, was use the video feature, and also have some future shows scheduled. So that's the last question I think I saw. Okay. Well, let's surprise someone. We're going to raid somebody. And we'll just... I don't know why it's not letting me raid. Okay, well, I think we've answered all the questions, so we're going to end the show. And until the next time I see you, I hope you can stay home to shop. And until the next time I see you, I hope you can stay home to shop.